Let me start by telling you I made one of those pot pies that you got me yesterday. I was
Yeah.
like, let me give one a shot. Now, I didn't realize that when you take, like, it comes in like a little container that you're supposed to put in the oven with it. I thought it just said, like, I read the directions 6 times, right? And I read it, I put it in the oven, right? I take it out of the little container. Oh, that's from my
Just
headset.
shaking my head here. Just shaking my head.
Right. I put it in for an hour, right? I'm finishing upstream. I was like, let me put it, and then I look inside, and it's not so much of a pot pie as it is just a pie. It was,
right?
yeah, it just went flat. And I didn't realize, and then I read the directions. I pulled them out of the garbage to read them again a 6th time. And then I realized you're supposed to keep the little container in. But it doesn't look like a container that's good for an oven. But I guess that was supposed to keep
like
it
a cardboard
structured.
one, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't think you
Yeah,
want to
but
put
those are-
cardboard in the oven.
No, yeah, those you can because they're special type. They're
Yeah.
I forget what the term
So-
is, but it's a special baking kind.
Yeah, and it was still good, but it was kind of sad to look at. It was just flat.
It's a mound.
Yeah.
A mound.
So
A pot mound.
being sick has sucked. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm towards the tail end at this point.
Yeah, you sound better.
Yeah.
You're not as congested. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, my congestion's pretty much gone. It's just the annoying cough at this point. So,
Yeah. The drip, drip, drip that makes you cough.
Yeah, like my sinuses are cleared, but my just that cough's annoying. And then sleeping last
Try
night.
a little saline up the nose. A little saline.
Yes,
Believe it
'cause-
or not, opens it up.
Because I just have saline sitting around, mother.
You should. Everybody should.
Oh.
Should have been in your Christmas stocking.
Should have been
Saline.
in my Christmas stocking. That's exactly what I would have wanted for Christmas. On Dear Santa, nettle pot.
Nettie pot.
Whatever the hell they're called. But my viewers know I've been sick the last couple days. So I
No,
don't
now
think
you got to
they're-
move on to the Navage.
I don't even
That's
know what the hell
pot on steroids.
a
Oh yeah,
Navage.
that's the machine. Yeah, Ken's used it. It's great. You put it up to your nose, and it flushes the water through your nasal passages,
Oh,
and it all goes into the bottom, which is kind of gross, but it cleans you out. People swear by it.
well,
Ask your brother. He tried it.
I might give it a shot. Oh, they're not expensive either. But I don't know. The nettle pots, I'm just like
It's nettle pot.
whatever.
Nettle.
I don't think I'm at that point yet, but I will say I don't know how we as humans have not evolved to not need our sinuses anymore. Like they don't do anything.
Yes, they do.
What do they do?
They clean out all the dirt that you breathe in through the air and all the
What
pollutants.
do
It's supposed to be your first
sinuses
weapon.
do?
The sinus produces the mucus that collects that stuff, so it doesn't get in your lungs and pollute your body, and get caught in all your capillaries and then the blood flow can't happen. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, mom's right. I always thought that the sinuses were useless, but no, they do act as like an air filtration for us.
Of course they're not.
Shit. Thought we would have
Nothing
evolved by now.
God created is useless. Okay. Just because we don't know what the appendix does doesn't mean it's useless.
Okay, whatever. All I know is that it hurts me more than helps me when I'm freaking sick. Get that
Yeah,
shit
well,
out of here. They gotta
It would
make
be
something.
worse if you didn't have that.
They gotta
You'd
make.
have worse
Yeah,
illness.
they gotta make something that like. They need something better than a shitty nettle pot. Net pot.
I'm not gonna say netty again. Okay, it's neti pot. It's not nettle.
Netty. Okay.
There's no L in it.
But it just goes in there, does its thing. But if I'm sick, do you use that while you're sick? I have to assume nothing goes through.
Well, it depends on how congested you are, but it has. You don't just do water; it's salt water, and you have to use the saline. You never use regular water; you burn your nose. You put the distilled water with a little saline. They give you the packets, and it's soothing as it goes through. It helps
Oh,
you. 'Cause you know
that
what
might have been
happens
how
is
I messed up the last time I tried one.
your sinuses trigger a swelling if a foreign virus or body gets in there, so they fill up and they start producing mucus to protect and gather all the dirt that comes in. So you want to calm down the swelling, just like when you swell your knee or your elbow, and you can't put heat on it, can't put ice on it, but the neti pot helps to flush.
I was just
out.
thinking we're 5 minutes in and viewers have already checked out, mother.
I know, really.
We're talking about nasal passages.
Or you can edit those out.
Yeah, right. I don't know. That was pretty. It's tough to edit out the first 5 minutes of a podcast. But yeah, I mean, I think we should just get right into the news tonight because obviously we had the biggest. I mean, what it feels like 2 days ago now, maybe. But the big shooting in Minnesota, as they say, Minnesota, with the what's her name, Renee Good, or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I've studied this video immensely. I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times. I feel like I got opinions on both sides here. I would like to.
Okay.
I don't know how many times you've seen the video, or if you just watched it once, but I would like to see your thoughts on it first. Get Mom's opinion.
Well, I've seen only a couple angles from it.
Let me start real fast. I'm not going to show the video just because obviously YouTube will demonetize us for that because it is a shooting. So if you haven't seen it, if you just type in ICE Minnesota on Twitter, you'll find it.
It's on everything.
Yeah, go ahead, Mother.
And now you can see multiple angles of it.
Yeah.
Everybody's posting from every phone everywhere.
Sure, but let me tell you this. I looked it up yesterday. Like, I just wanted to get it on one of the news organizations. This is why news organizations are falling apart. They won't give you the footage. They're like, let's give our opinion on the footage and show parts of it. No, just give me the footage.
Yeah.
So that's why, whether you hate Twitter or not, at least when I look something up on Twitter, it gives it to me. I don't need an opinion. I don't need a paywall. Just give me the footage. But go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, and so I heard what happened. It doesn't surprise me. I shouldn't say I wasn't that fazed by it, but I don't know why we keep having this argument. ICE is not breaking the law. They're doing what is legally expected and was voted on, and overwhelmingly this president said, we're going to go in and we're going to take out people who've come into this country illegally. If you come into this country illegally, you have broken a federal law, and we have the right to take them out. I only say that because all these protesters are, out there with their guns, or not their guns, their cars. They're walking around. So maybe she didn't wield a gun, but she used a vehicle, and that's a 2-ton vehicle. And if you sit behind the wheel and threaten somebody, I don't care, ICE agent or whatever, anybody, using a vehicle, as we've seen at Christmas markets and everything else, that's a weapon. And from the angles that I see and from the background footage I hear, from the two individuals involved, okay, these were not innocent angels. They have a background. They have a history. They have things that they were involved in. We can talk about that. But from what I could see, she intentionally steered into this ICE agent. Or let's put it this way. She didn't care that ICE agent was in her way when she pulled out. That's what I saw.
Right. I mean, I have a very long-winded answer if you want mine. But I do want to start with the things that we do know going into this now. First one, this lady is the lady in the car is an activist in an anti-ICE group, right? Called the Warriors, as you call them, right? So right off the bat, we know this lady's not a big fan of ICE, right? One thing we found out today, she only has custody of one of her kids because I believe the wife, the one that was outside, was putting cigarettes out in the kid's arms. That's still alleged, but we got to take that into consideration. Yeah, I know there's so many problems with this. The other thing that all the footage...
Now hold on though. I would trust that source only because I think now you're going to see a lot of crap coming out on both sides, people making shit up just to validate what their
the person that posted it is a pretty reliable source, but again, it's just alleged.
Yeah.
The other thing that we know that you don't see in the videos, except for the ones that are coming out today, she's purposely out in the center of the road and blocked the road for 4 minutes, which just dancing in her car. She was doing it on purpose, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we get to the situation. Now we're watching it go down. You got ICE agents telling her to move. She's refusing to move. And then it starts getting we more so see the chaos towards the end from all the footage. There's one video I've seen from minutes before, but it just goes to show all the cars that she backed up, just people in traffic trying to get around her, to the point where that's where ICE came and said, ma'am, you have to move. Okay, so we're at this point. So let me take the ICE agent's side of this.
But hold on, I did start to see her. There was somebody who had a video from a window above with a dog barking in the background. Mm-hmm. And I did see she was backing the car back so other cars, it looked like non-ICE vehicles. I don't know, but there was a white SUV, there were some other cars. They were able to get by her.
Okay, that I didn't see. So if that's true, okay. So I'm going to take the ICE agent's side on this one first and tell you what she did wrong besides everything that we just talked about. Truthfully, and I said this to you on the phone, I think the person that really took this too far is the wife outside of the car who has the lady in the car. God, I wish they were a straight couple so I can say lady and man, but whatever. Yeah. So the lady in the car, Renee, she's very passive aggressive, which is annoying, but it's passive aggressive. The manlier looking wife, to be nice, is really up in the ice face. She's really enticing him. Really escalated the situation way higher than it had to be. And then there's a point where you hear an ICE officer go, okay, please just get out of the car. He didn't say please, just get out of the car. And that's when the manlier wife really started to escalate the situation. And within 3 seconds, you have the whole incident, to say the least. So
I believe she actually said through the window, drive, baby, drive, drive.
Something like that. Yeah, you can't really hear it. It really depends on, I've seen some altered things that we have to be a little careful on.
I agree. Yep.
But okay, so I do agree. I treat ICE as if they're kind of police. They have the same rights and authority for the most part. So when a cop tells you, "Hey, get out of the car," you get out of the car, right? Unfortunately, for some reason, we live in a society now where that's optional. Doesn't really work that way. Then she backs up, goes forward, and hits that ICE agent kind of in the far left of her car. So she gets shot, dead. Okay. So I'm going to take this to the other side. Now I'm going to take the lady's side real fast in the sense of I don't think she did anything right. When do you ever see a police officer go in front of a moving vehicle during a stop? Right. So I do think that there was a lot of negligence on that ICE agent's part. I also don't think that he should have, again, getting run over is fine, is not good. He had more than enough time to jump out of the way of that vehicle, right? Yes, she stepped on it and he could, I don't think that warranted a shot. If he was dead center of that car, then you can really make more of a argument like she was really trying to kill that guy. To me, it looked like he, when you're in a car, you have the blind spot. He can kind of look like he's kind of out of the way, right? If you're already kind of tilted right, and right, if you're already angled this way and he's kind of on line with your headlight, because I was driving today and I was really thinking about it.
Yeah.
You could make the argument he's kind of out of the way, right? I still don't think that shot was necessary. I think it is still negligence on the ICE agent, given she did everything wrong in that situation. I don't. It looks bad for ICE, obviously, but I think it's more on that cop than. How do I put this? I just think that he could have done that a lot better. I don't see any situation in that where he should have stopped.
This is the second time somebody's attempted to run him over. He was dragged by another individual, okay? During one of these things. He did walk around that car. He had the camera. He was taking the license plate. And the girlfriend, the wife outside the car was saying, go ahead, take it. We don't change our plates.
Yep,
we don't hide all that stuff.
Sure. Okay? I still don't see any situation. Look at any cop video ever. When do you walk in front of a car that's turned on? Like, that's what I mean. That seems like
the car was on the whole time.
Yeah, right.
So it's not as though he was walking in front, she put the car, or she was stalled and she put it on, he walked in front. The whole issue was to get her to move a car that was obviously going.
I think you're missing my point here. Mom, hold on, you're missing my point big time.
He was in the front. No, when he got out of his car, his police car, that's the footage I saw from him, right? Going to the front and the back of the car and then coming around to front. Then another officer.
Okay, you're still kind of missing the point here. I don't care who you are, an officer, a civilian, whatever. Why would you walk in front of a moving car in a heightened situation, right?
The only thing I would think of, and I don't know, and you could ask a question, I don't think that's a reason to say that, he was at fault. He might have been checking the front license plate to see if it was the same.
Mom, you can check if I can't. That's not a good answer because my iPhone could take a picture from miles away.
And she takes her wheel and turns the wheels toward that person off the left side.
I don't think I've
Listen,
seen
I
that
don't
video.
think he was in front of that car. I think he was, like you said,
I think he was
off
enough.
to the side, and I think she turned into him.
No, I've seen I don't know if you saw the body cam footage of that. She does not turn the wheel really at all. So that's kind of
Okay, so
not
I
true.
have another video. I thought I posted it where they say this shows you could see her tires turning into that officer. Now, I'm not saying she did it intentionally. Maybe she was panicking because the wife was yelling at her, and she. But here's another thing, Chris. Why did they all of a sudden feel the need to pull out of there? Right? No, they weren't getting out of the car and they weren't moving. All of a sudden, she tells her, drive, drive, drive. Why? Nobody was threatening her. He was going for the door and the door was locked. Well, they didn't care before that. Now, all of a sudden, she turns the car and she decides to pull away. That I found very suspicious.
I think this is
just as somebody was in front of her car.
I'm looking at the video right now just because, oh God, the manly wife is really what got her wife killed. I would argue that. But no, I still think it looks like, just watching the footage, she backs up to turn right. So I think she backs up left to come backwards. So that's what I think is confusing people. And then she goes right. I still think the cop's kind of not, I don't want to say at fault. He's not wrong, but I don't know any situation. Say it was an armed robbery. Why would you stand in front of would you go stand in front of a running car in an Escalade?
Let's put it this way, and this is the net result of this is, I hope the ICE agents have learned a very valuable lesson. Any one of these individuals in a car, it's like they're holding a gun to your head. You cannot trust them.
Yeah, no, okay? I agree. But I would say that about anyone. I would never trust in a heightened situation like that. My answer is not, let me stand in front of the car.
I'll tell you something. I don't consider that a heightened situation. I didn't think it was heightened. I thought her response was ridiculous. Now, you could say he should have shot her. Maybe that's true. But I don't know what he thinks that shooting her was going to do to stop that car.
Exactly. Like, so what's the point of the shot? Yeah.
So it might have been a reflex action for somebody who's been through this before, thinking he could stop her from running away, even though he may get killed. I don't know, right? That might have been his reaction. What I would say, and what we started to talk about is, as a tax-paying citizen who's really getting freaking sick and tired of watching this, of my tax dollars wasted with ICE agents spending time with these jackasses who are delaying what I voted for and the majority of us voted for, right, is to some extent, I'm starting to think if maybe this is all becoming a little bit too staged here. I don't understand how hard it is to move these cars, in the sense that I think these lefties who have been in the situation, unfortunately, this death of this woman, I'm the first one to say, time to bring in the modified tanks. Yeah. Time to start slowly moving these cars with pressure and force out of the way.
Right. So when you say tank,
I don't want anybody else getting shot.
Right. So you don't mean a tank with, you just mean a big car to push whatever's in the way out of the way. Like, I think when people say tanks. Yes. When you say tank, they think something that shoots rockets.
No, I mean something. Right. They make these type of vehicles that can move things. And I think they've been very hesitant to do that because it looks like military and war zone. Well, someone was just shot and an ICE agent was almost killed. ICE agents have been killed, by the way.
Yep.
And I think it's time. Let's not waste time. You get 5 warnings. And I think that's even too many. You want to protest, go down the street and do it. No one's telling her you can't protest. Problem is, they're in the middle of where the activity is, and somebody's going to get hurt, and somebody did. So I'm all for use the power and the strength, maybe not the military, but let's get a modified ICE vehicle for these types of situations.
Sure.
To slowly push these individuals out of the way.
I'm still going to take it the other way, though, and I'm going to say, hold on, these ICE agents that we know, a lot of them are like, one, we have a lot of ICE agents out there that are not qualified to be ICE agents, but that we needed the manpower. Like, there's a lot of them that. So I'm not surprised by this negligence on this officer, right? Because I do think that's.
I'm surprised there hasn't been more of it. I'm surprised there hasn't been more of it.
That's true, but I still think it is so asinine for a cop, an ICE agent, to ever walk in front of a turned-on vehicle, almost get hit. So you're putting yourself in harm's way. The second I can walk on the highway, right? I'm still putting myself in harm's way. It's kind of the same. I would never. That's like standing in front of a loaded gun.
Well,
right?
but I still go back to saying many of them have done this. They park their cars there with the engine running, and they never move them. So not necessarily does an ICE agent think, "Oh, she's going to use her car to run me over." They're walking around the vehicle
Mom,
to
that's
try to
not.
get people out of
Think
it.
of how much hate there is for ICE agents right now, right?
Well, but
That's on you if you're an ICE agent going, oh, let me walk in front of this car while this lady's refusing to move.
Well, I don't know that we're seeing everything out
Excuse
there,
me.
Chris. I think a lot gets cherry picked as to what they want to show on media and even on social media platforms. I don't think you're seeing every encounter. I am shocked that it is that difficult to shove these people out of the way.
Yeah,
And I asked this question, this was my first thought. Are the protesters okay? All these people being paid, by the way, we're finding out these
a
are
lot of them
paid
have been paid. Yeah,
individuals in many cases, right? Are they okay with anti abortion protesters using cars to block the clinics and run over the escorts who are bringing the women in? Because you know what? We have very staunch rules in this country that liberals pushed for. You can't go 50 feet in front of an abortion clinic. You can't, in some cases, they won't even let you pray the rosary outside of it and you get arrested. Why are the rules different for one type of protest versus another?
yeah.
And that's why I say to these lefties, are you okay with that? Is it perfectly okay to block these abortion clinics? Because I know plenty of anti-abortion individuals who will get in their F-10, F-150 trucks and park themselves in front, and everybody's head would explode. How illegal, how wrong. They would haul those people out, they would tow those trucks. Now, all of a sudden, I've got this individual who's unfortunately killed. She's not a one-off. This crap's been going on for I don't know how long. I'm shocked it hasn't happened. And unfortunately, now I think the federal government is justified in saying we're not playing games anymore. She got killed and she almost killed an officer, whether he was being stupid or not, or an ICE
Right.
agent,
Yeah,
whether
agreed.
he's being stupid or not. Okay? Time to bring in the tank type vehicles and start moving these cars slowly but deliberately out of the way.
Yep. No,
That's what I
I
say.
think that's a very fair point. I think if you're trying to, my answer has always been with protests, no matter what kind of protest it is, if you're blocking traffic, that should be a terroristic act because you're attacking the flow of the country, right? If you're attacking
I
the flow
agree.
of the country, that is a terroristic act. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just very. I do still think that sure he almost died. Let's be honest. He never was going to die. At worst, he was going to lose his leg based on that situation. At worst, right? His leg would have been crushed. Maybe legs, plural, because he's pretty off to the side.
Well,
Also,
I don't
hey,
even want to make that. I don't even think we want to make that sort of justification. You know, you signed up to
well,
be an
no,
ICE
no, the
agent. You got your
justification.
bonus
Hold on,
and you're getting paid. You're not signing up to
Mom.
get your legs
Whoa,
crushed.
hold on. Sure, but that also doesn't give you the right to fire a bullet at someone who I truthfully don't think she purposely turned into the guy, just based on the video that you showed me. But in that situation, to pull a gun and fire at that lady is pretty insane. It's not like she's a convicted felon who's moving drugs and has a weapon on her. So,
I
and
don't know what to
also,
say.
I still think from that video, he had more than enough time to get it out of the way. So,
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
I don't.
This is what I mean. Okay, maybe let me say this. Maybe this goes back to the ICE agents. Maybe we got to pick better ICE agents here and not pick just the ones that are still in the academy and we need the numbers.
You have to understand, they're struggling to get people.
Right, yeah.
Okay, because of this kind of stuff. Because now we're questioning the ICE agent. You know what? Maybe he shouldn't have been in front of that car, but I still say she's at fault.
I say she's at fault, but I don't think she was at fault enough to get shot.
Well, I mean, you know what? You put yourself in harm's way, and that's going to happen. These protesters think they're untouchable because they're right and everybody else is wrong. Okay?
Sure.
She wouldn't get out of the car.
Yep, that is
told
true.
to get out. She locked the doors to that car. She was blocking traffic. And maybe she didn't intend it,
Yeah.
but she almost hit an ICE officer.
I'm not defending her in any way, shape, or form. That lady's a freaking idiot. And I think she should have been arrested on the spot. I don't think she should have been shot in the face. I have to say, that was a side note. That was a pretty good shot. I don't think the guy meant for that shot to be that good. But
I think the intention was to get her out to arrest her,
Right.
and she locked the doors.
Yeah.
Then the wife was trying to get in on the other side.
Right.
I mean, all this stuff, to me, it's getting ridiculous.
I think it's
You
still
pass
negligence
them
on both
once, the
sides.
second time, guns are drawn, and you get out of that vehicle. And guess what? What do you do then, Christopher, if they don't get out?
You shoot the tires, not the person.
Okay, fine. And they still don't get out of that car. Now the car is definitely not getting moved.
Well, yeah, but
When do we draw the line and say, listen, I'm a federal officer. I've asked you 3 times to get out of this car. And they lock the doors. Okay, you
I'm
break the
not. I'm
glass.
not disagreeing with you on that. Like, we do have to have some kind of better system here, and the riots / protests that are starting already are going to be a little too crazy. I think this is going to be kind of a breaking point in the sense of ICE has to handle this one right in order for this not to get any bigger than it already is. Given
And just a couple things that everybody has to remember. This is the state of George Floyd, people.
State of George Floyd, Tim Walz, the Somali problem. They've been taking hit after hit.
No. Look at it another way, right? They're making this their coup de grace. Okay, now we're going to shut down. Let the fraud continue. How
Right.
dare you try and stop the money to our poor place
Yeah,
where
that's
this
true.
poor woman was sacrificed? Think of it politically, all right? They're going to use this woman, which is almost worse in my opinion. They're going to use this woman as some sort of martyr for the cause.
So what also bothers me is within like a day, that wife, I believe she started it, started GoFundMe. Like the second your wife dies, you're starting to GoFundMe that hit 1.3 million. Kind of goes to show you what kind of relationship that was. Now, I should talk in alleges. The problem with nowadays, and we talk about this all the time, is when you're when you see new major news, people come up with BS right off the rip so that they get views, and then it's not true.
Yeah, something else that came out in the course of these, not this individual, but Laura Ingraham was interviewing the one, admitted that she's getting paid to protest. Okay?
Yeah.
You want to hit these people? This is what I say. Get their names, send it to the IRS, because they're supposed to be getting a 1099 from who's ever paying them to protest. They're supposed to be paying taxes on that money like you do and I do because we get income. Start hitting these people in the pocketbook and let them start feeling the same pain that Americans say. You still want to go protest and get $100 a day? You get to keep 75 of that money. And eventually, I'm going to put a lien, just like they did to the January 6 people who protested that day, right? The horrible people protested. They threw them in jail. They shut off their banking. They cut off their money. Okay? They haunted these people. Well, why are these protesters any different? Go after the money. Who's paying these two to be there sitting in that car all day? Maybe we start going after that and we really give people pause to be paid protesters, where now it costs one of them her life.
Yeah. I still think, not to bring it back, but I think it's still negligence on both parties there. And I think any military or police officer will tell you that. But we have to come up with a better solution here than ICE agents just going around in like regular cars, essentially. Like it doesn't even, I don't even think it said ICE on it. It's just like a.
Well, they can't, because they can't notify that they're going to be in the neighborhood, because they'll all scatter.
Yeah.
People will scatter.
I still think there's got to be a better way of doing this. Like I saw one recently, and again, I'm all for, if you're here illegally, get out. But one of the crazy things was there was an Uber driver the other day, illegal Uber driver, delivering food, and they're like arresting him at the delivery point. I was like, geez, like there just has to be a better solution than this. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
They have no other way of tracking him. Maybe just when he goes to work, and then we can't go into the business where he works, so they get him in the car. And when he gets out of the car, it's a delivery.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, listen, I don't care anymore. And I think, to your answer, when I watch these videos, I get annoyed at how nice and law-abiding, I shouldn't put it that way, how much crap these ICE agents are taking. I think they do a great job.
I agree.
They got a lot of stuff. And if you notice in that video, nobody said anything to these two. Nobody gave them a wisecrack.
That's
Nobody
true.
answered back. They were very civilized about it. All they wanted was for this freaking idiot to get out of her car and do what she was told. And she didn't do it. And it cost her life. And now I got to cry for her?
Yeah,
Could she
that
pull
I don't.
herself in that
Yeah,
situation?
I would not say that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crying over the lady, but I still think that they're, to your point of the the tanky car to push things out of the way. That should have been something we should have figured out by now. But also to your point, there's a lot of great things that these ICE agents have done that just don't get shown in the media, right?
But hold on, that's my point. They couldn't do that beforehand because they were already the liberal Democrats were always screaming, "You're bringing the military. You're bringing a war to our streets. You can't lead with a tank moving these cars." Now it's justified because
Yeah,
now you say we need this tank so another one of these protesters doesn't get
right.
injured or killed.
The other thing that doesn't help her case is the fact that she was in like an anti-ICE group, I guess you can call it, called the Warriors, which definitely doesn't help the cause. But I don't know what's going to happen to that cop. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say
An
this.
exemplary record.
Yeah.
He's a veteran of the force. He's never had any problems. And unfortunately, he's been through this once before where he was freaking dragged by some other protester at another time.
Yeah.
I don't know that justifies pulling a gun, but maybe from his experience, he felt if she's going to kill me, I'm going to make sure she's stopped before she drives off.
Maybe that's true. I also don't think that, I don't think he meant for that shot to go through the windshield straight. I think he shot it while falling and,
that could be.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't intentional.
Because that was a pretty damn good shot from the angle that he was at, because I think he meant to shoot it towards like up into the roof from his angle, but he ended up like going straight into her. I think it hit her kind of more in the shoulder than the head. But yeah. And I think she actually really bled out. I don't know. We'll have to check that one, but
my first reaction was, well, shoot the tires, but I think these people would still drive off on the rims without any tires.
You wouldn't go very far though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I guess so. But
also you'd have to shoot basically all four of the tires. That's tough.
Right.
Shooting one tire, that's easy. Well, given they all are all right there.
Maybe he saw something that no camera. Well, he had his camera.
Body cam, yeah.
Maybe he saw something in her that signaled to him she's gonna run me over. I don't know.
Again, I still think he was if he just moved slightly faster, he could have gotten out of the way of that. That's why I'm like, I do think that it's a little negligence on his part.
I don't know that he would want to be run over since he's been in that situation before.
No, not being run over, Mom. That's not what I'm saying. But it's almost like he didn't like the car's coming. Yeah, like he was. Yeah, and he could have just taken what looked like maybe 2 steps to the right, and he would have been way out of the way of that. And if he was like dead center of the car and she shoots it, or pedal to the metal, yeah, he's gonna get hit. But I do think that he was out of the way enough that, I mean, I guess you could make the argument PTSD from the last situation, so he just naturally but that's kind of a stretch. But he's so far to the right of that I think he could have pretty easily gotten out of the way if you're an in-shape police officer. So
yeah, not a police officer, a federal agent.
Federal agent. Even then, I still think that firing a bullet from that range, I think was a little off. Well, a little bit of a bad call.
I think it got way out of hand, and I'm done with them waiting for these lefties to agree. Okay? I'm all for protest, First Amendment rights. Not with a car, not threatening
not
to
blocking
block
off traffic.
Right? And we have umpteen laws on the books for every other conservative protest, yet the liberals seem to be in the face of everybody, right up in front of these officers. And I don't understand.
That annoys me more.
About distance, and you can protest from here. If you recall, on January 6th, they put gates up all over.
I'm definitely pro. Sorry. I'm definitely pro rubber bullets. Like, I don't think we use rubber bullets enough. I think people have to, if you're going at officers in mass amounts, rubber bullets, I mean, those things are going to suck. You're going to feel a lot of pain. And I think that'll stop a riot real fast. I don't know why we don't use them enough. I saw a video last night of a guy who was going up to a federal building, and he was purposely holding his iPhone like this, pretending to shoot at the cops. So he's pulling, and he got blasted by, it's almost like a dust bullet, I guess you can call it. I don't know what it's really considered, but I'm like, he's basically at point blank range taking these to the face and still doing the same
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Hey, hit that guy square in the face with a rubber bullet. He'll go away real fast. So
Yeah.
I think we got to start using more of those because we're a little too lenient with the protests.
That's what I mean. This should have been addressed. That Linda should have
Yeah.
been smashed. She should have been pulled out of that car. And by the way, they would have screamed bloody hell. But it would. Now we know it would have saved her life because she
Yeah.
didn't
I think
follow federal agents'
the
instructions.
window was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they broke the window already
Yeah.
before.
And she
yeah.
still didn't get out of the freaking car.
Yeah. So again, not defending her at all. I think she should be arrested at a minimum. Don't think she should have gotten shot. So
No, but they're accelerating their protesting. And I think now, and maybe that's my point. Now ICE needs to crack down. The federal government needs to say, we've been very patient. We've been doing the best we can do. And now, guess what? We're moving the cars out of the way using any method we can.
yeah.
Okay? When these protesters are lining the streets, and citizens have to move them in places like California because the police won't do it, you get a paddy wagon, you put the strips on their hands, and you throw them in the back, and well, not throw them, but you put them in the back, you arrest them. Now, these states let them go next day. They never prosecuted.
Yeah.
But at least put them off the street.
Unless you're a
But I'm
J6
telling
person,
you, you're
then
going to
you're
hit
in
a
jail.
citizen who's had it, and they will run these people over. That's my
Yeah.
concern. And the citizen will be at fault. But they keep pushing, and they think that they're untouchable. And
I
okay,
do
we
think
already had
if
a
you
moment
are
of silence at the Timberwolves game over this person. They're trying to make it. They will
Really?
make her into a George Floyd. They're going to try. You watch.
It's not gonna
That's why I
work.
say Kristi Noem better seize this opportunity and say, you know what? A person got injured, person got killed, and almost killed an agent. Now we have to be more aggressive with moving these vehicles. We're not.
Hold on, that's my problem right there. She was not going to kill that guy. That guy would have 100% survived that even if he got hit by that car. So I don't know why we keep thinking that he was going to get killed by that car. That's my problem here and why I can't really get behind that narrative. We've seen people get hit by 60-mile-an-hour car.
He was going to get injured so much that he might have been. I don't care what, Chris. I'm not parsing it. I don't care if it broke a fingernail on him. She had no right to do it.
Agreed.
She didn't deserve to die.
Yes.
She didn't deserve to die. But guess what? If you're going to protest and be militant about it and not follow directions, and things get out of hand, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't agree with it, but I also say you're right. I think these ICE agents don't walk around these cars anymore. Go right to the driver's door, smash the door, and haul them out.
Yeah.
Then
I agree.
impound the car.
Yeah. I do think they almost have to have cars that have makeshift pulleys on it to yank a car if it's in the way, on top of the tank that you were talking about. Like put a hook on it, boom,
type.
bye. Yeah,
right,
snowplow.
Just a snowplow type.
Yeah,
you
front of a
give them
train.
Warning, and you very slowly, so nobody gets injured, but the car will be damaged. You very slowly shove that car out of the way and hold it there. And let them all scream, let them all kick, let them all have their throw things at the tank, if you will. But cars can get by. They make their arrests, and then they get out of the area.
No, I agree. I do not disagree.
And the
with
beauty
that
of it is, unfortunately, now you have this situation because when they all scream, you say, "Listen, we don't want another Renee Good.
Yeah.
We don't want another thing like that to happen." That's your answer.
Yeah.
And maybe we could pick up the pace on some of these, spending less time with the protesters and more time doing what the American people want. Get these the majority, get these individuals out.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on just because we've done enough of that. We basically have given our thoughts on it.
I'm sure we'll know more about it this week, right?
Yeah, I'm sure when we hear.
Have an opinion.
Yeah, she was actually very abusive to her kids. Just finds out she's not a good person. She's also been arrested once. So that's another thing that we learned. But
is this the wife or the woman who died?
No, the woman who died had a criminal record. We're not sure what for yet, but anyway, Trump suggests U.S. military will hit cartels on land in Mexico. What is this one, Mother?
Yeah, Trump is signaling the possibility of taking out these drug cartels in Mexico. Are they a threat? Yes. When he does these things, is it working? Probably, because now the Mexican president says, she wants sovereignty and he can't come in here and he must work with her. But now she's willing to sit down and work more closely with the U.S. But I think it's kind of funny. She talks about wanting sovereignty for her nation, and we don't have a right to get involved. But I don't know how many people here remember, or listeners remember, in 2019, all the Mexican officials telling the people of the United States that how don't you vote for Donald Trump, and you have no business voting for this individual, trying to impact our elections here. But now all of a sudden, when it's sovereignty of Mexico, we have to stay out and not get involved. Well,
Right.
it's working in other countries, and you know what? It's been a threat for quite a while now, these cartels. And the irony is the Mexican president, she doesn't run the country, the
Yeah,
cartels do.
she's owned by the cartel. That's pretty much a
Yeah.
fact at this point.
Yeah.
Speaking of, little side note, did you see that? I think it was like El Salvador. Did you see that lady take that explosive to the back of the head?
I did,
That's
yes.
she got lucky. It actually hit her like in the back, and it looks like she was wearing some kind of bulletproof vest. But
Yeah.
what a freaking throw on that guy's part. That was a
I know.
professional that tried to take her out. That's not a
Yeah.
yeah, and he missed by maybe less than a foot. But I thought that hit her in the back of the head. I got the slow mo of her like being blown forward. I was like, ooh.
Right.
So,
Right.
but that's the reason I bring that up is because people don't realize how big the cartel is, not just in Mexico, but how much they've taken over the countries around it too. So, yeah, I'm
And
with.
even, by the way, even our country, when we had the open border, the disgusting open border, how many people talked about military men coming over our border and bringing immigrants with them?
Yeah,
Cartel members. They alleged they were cartel members. So we were under attack, if you will, at our borders with these individuals walking over with guns, right?
yeah,
Are we comfortable with people with guns from another country walking in on our border
right.
and demanding or bringing people in? What were they going to do with those guns?
Well,
Just use them
I
for
think
show?
my favorite part, because I've seen people break down what would happen if the U.S. tried to fight the cartel, and like you don't realize how advanced our military is, like just the systems that we have, and I mean, the cartel. The way that I saw someone put it is the only thing stopping us from taking out all the cartel, like the whole thing, is literally just the territory. Like the president saying the Mexican president saying you can't do it. It would take us like a few days to get rid of the cartel in Mexico, from what I've heard. Like they're not an advanced they're a big group of people, but they don't have the advanced weaponry that the U.S. has. Because I was
Yeah.
watching a whole breakdown on the weapons and stuff that we use to go into Maduro, just get them out of there.
Hmm.
They were like,
Hmm.
yeah, dude, the cartel doesn't stand a chance against like one unit.
Well,
But,
that I never
yeah.
think you should
Oh,
underestimate your enemy.
okay, sure,
And
whatever.
I'm not going to
But
say, go ahead.
hold on. But this is what I mean. The issue, people think that we're going to war with the cartel. It's not a war. It's going to be a one-handed ass slapping. The only thing that's stopping us is the fact that there's a border, right? And we can't go into another country. So once Trump gets the A-OK and he's like, yeah, let's just wipe out that cartel, it's not a war. It's going to be over in a couple weeks at most. But go ahead. What were you going to say? That's what I
Well,
mean.
my
I'm just about
comment
to
is
get
this:
water.
I think people are naive if you think that cartel isn't here in America.
True.
So you're going to go and attack that, and you're going to have uprisings within this country. So you need to be very careful when you do something like that. I would never underestimate what goes on with these cartels. Um, if it was that easy to infiltrate them and take them out, we would have done it a long time ago, or somebody would have tried. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm not going to be naive to say, oh, we could go in 2 seconds. Because you know what? I've seen our military. It's the best military in the world, but they've made some mistakes. I mean, we've been so lucky lately. I just think you have to be really careful when you do that, because Mike Flynn was just talking recently, and it's frightening to hear him say the American people have no idea, and they shouldn't necessarily, how many cells there are, Chinese, Iranian, South American, in our country, ready to be activated. They are being watched, the ones we know of, but they are all over this country. So it's very easy to say we just go in, we bomb them, but it's not just in Mexico. They already infiltrated our. I mean, my God, we had El Chapo had what, tunnels going to Arizona and all our
Hmm.
states, California. They are here. That this is their business. We don't understand because we're not on the border. It's a back and forth everyday exchange. There is no wall down there in most places. So to say we just go in, we do it and get out. I hope so. I hope it goes well. I
Yeah.
hope we target it. But we have to be really careful if we do that to remember we have citizens in this country. They will retaliate against us.
Does that make them citizens?
No, we have people in this
Right.
country who will be used and
Right.
killed by cartels in this country to send a message. And I've heard people say, Chris, the Mexican cartel is one of the most brutal regimes.
Oh
Iran
yeah.
can't even hold a candle. Hamas can't even hold a candle to how brutal these individuals are. And things they've done in this country. They've hung people from our bridges,
Yeah.
decapitated with their heads shoved where. They're brutal. And that's why we have to be very careful when we launch these things. I'm all for it, but I'm not going to say, oh, it'll be done in a day and we get out of there. I don't know about that. It's a little bit more involved than that. Because
If you were to do a full-scale war, it would be very quick. The hard part about the cartel, which is I've seen in a lot of interviews, is finding the heads of these cartels because they hide them very well. But we've had, allegedly, I'm going to talk in allegeds from what I've heard, we've had like Delta Force members go in, just wipe out entire sections, like, where's your leader? And they do a good job not telling. But they'll just, like, the next morning in Mexico, they'll find like 100 cartel members dead. So again, they're not anything special. There's a lot of them, but the hard part, and then obviously you can keep taking them out, but you're going to have retaliation. So the goal is to take out the leaders.
They're like freaking roaches.
Yeah, essentially.
They take out 100 and 200 more show up.
Yeah. Because that's the cartel's.
100 of them are already here.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're going around and they're shooting into the houses in Arizona of middle-aged citizens who are just sitting watching TV. Yeah. And now you got a war in the streets of America. That's what you have to be careful of. That's what I'm saying. This isn't isolated to Mexico.
Right. You got to move back from your mic a little bit, Mom.
Oh, sorry. We share land with them. And that's a little different than Venezuela, right? Mm-hmm. And some of these other countries where we have buffer. So I think something has to be done because they are killing our citizens with these drugs that flow so freely. Mm-hmm. I've seen some of these neighborhoods, as you've seen in Arizona and California, that are just disgraceful because of the drug trade there and the drug business. And I have no problem, get it out.
Yeah. I'm with you. Let's do this one. This is one of mine. Trump says the U.S. needs to own Greenland to prevent Russia and China from taking it. Before we get into this article, I do want to ask your opinions because I am starting to lean a little bit on this one. I know Venezuela, I know taking Maduro out was huge. I did not realize how many natural resources Venezuela had. Like, they have more oil than any other country in the world. Same with gold, right?
Yep.
Do you feel like it's a little bit of a, hey, let's take out Maduro so we could take the oil?
Well, we talked about this once before, and I didn't think it was so much about that, but more about the drugs. I'll say this. They have stolen, through their ways, oil from the United States. So when they say, I'm taking back 50 million barrels that they owe the United States, I don't hear a lot of people disputing that.
Sure.
Right? I don't hear people saying, "Oh, absolutely not," but they are saying,
Mom,
"Oh,
you gotta move back from your mic. You keep
they keep saying they're going to take over the country, whatever." But sometimes it's strategic in that Venezuela supplies the oil to Russia and supplies it to China, right? So for all these individuals who are squawking, and I'm going to say on the left about he's taking over and how dare he take over this country? Well, you know what? You're the ones who keep supporting Ukraine. If you want Ukraine to survive this war somehow, which is just basically a slaughter of men in that country and in Russia, you got to squeeze them, and you squeeze them with oil. Venezuela was shipping them oil, right?
Yep.
And they were feeding it to China. They needed Venezuela. Now that we've taken that over, I've heard the term paper tiger. Do you know what a paper tiger is?
I've heard the term. I don't know what it means, though. Excuse me.
So a paper tiger is basically, like somebody who's ferocious, but they have no real bite.
Right.
So all this has happened, and you got to watch China a little bit. Remember, they were supposedly a strategic military powerhouse, okay? We went in and very quickly took out Maduro. They weren't happy about it. They haven't really done much about it, right?
Yes, there's not much they
haven't threatened much. And now we've taken the oil, and they still haven't threatened much. Now, I'm only saying you have to be cautious because who knows what they're up to. But there's a real possibility they're a paper tiger, okay? Economically, that country, it has its issues.
Right.
And they don't have the resources.
I don't understand because I was thinking about, because when I saw that stat that they are like how much natural resources they had, I said, how the hell did they have the most resources in the world and yet be one of the poorest countries? Like, that's talk about running a country to the ground.
Exactly. And that's a socialist country. The government takes it over and runs it into the ground.
Right.
I'll give you a little example, a small example here. Look at our education system. It's basically run by one party because it's one
Mhm.
party they support, and they've run it into the ground. We're 27th in the world. Our education basically stinks in this
That's
country.
actually better than I thought. I thought we were like in the hundreds.
No, it keeps going down, 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 and nobody's fixing it. It was taken over by the government, right? They gradually it became a federal thing, and then the unions got involved. That's how it happens, and you chug along with it because not enough citizens are saying we've had enough.
Hmm.
We want better, whatever. Look at the postal system. The government takes it over. That's why, look at Canada with HHS. I just saw a woman post a video. Basically, she's in Costa Rica and she's talking about Canada and how it's a failed nation. You'll never get it back. It's a failed nation. That's what she, as a Canadian, saying. And she goes through the list. But look at your healthcare system. When the government takes it over, it falls apart. And that's a big chunk of your economy. That's what happened in Venezuela.
Gotcha. Um, okay, so to Greenland, because we understand. So Greenland, Trump feels like we have to own Greenland, which you and I have talked about it off stream. It makes sense. The the problem is, right, his argument is we have to get it before China or Russia gets it, basically. And I do
Yeah.
agree with that because it's coming, but the president of Denmark is like, if you step on our territory, it's going to be guns a-blazing, right? They shoot on sight,
Yeah.
basically. And I'm just like, ma'am, you don't really have much power here. Like, of all the things, like, we're more worried about Russia and China than you, right?
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think the outcome of this is? I feel like it's just going to be a deal between the U.S. and Greenland. And that's what he kind of means by own it. But I think people think that
Well,
we're
you
going to
can
like
also
militarily take it.
yeah, there's also you could lease it. There's other
Yeah.
things the US can do. But the point is and I don't know, knowing Trump, he probably goes overboard where, he's willing to settle for I'll take it over as a lease versus buy it. But he always goes full blown, I'm going to take it over and turn it into Trump land. He
Yeah.
makes it a big thing. And then we wind up settling and he gets exactly what he wanted anyhow, which strategically Greenland matters, right?
Yes, I agree.
It matters to the Western
You know,
Hemisphere.
I was watching a podcast today that said it best. Like, once you start seeing that your oil went down, like when gas goes down to $1 again because we have
Yes.
Venezuela and Greenland, I think there's going to be a lot less complaints. So,
Right. And I'm not one to, I don't believe in going in and taking over
true.
countries. I'm not a big fan of that. And I'm really starting to look, especially as I get older, there's certain things. Somebody asked me today of what do you think is going to happen over in Iran? Because they're having all these protests, right? And they're having like a revolution
Yeah.
over there. And my answer is this: good luck to them, but doesn't affect my day to day.
Right.
I'm not threatened by what happens in Iran, right? I am threatened by what happens in Mexico because that's right
Right
next
next
door.
door. Yeah.
Right. And I understand now he makes the case why Greenland's in play because it protects the Western Hemisphere. We can't just allow, you know, uh, uh, unfettered passage of Chinese ships, Russian ships, and everything else. But I will say this: yes, it's important. But meanwhile, what are we doing to get these individuals or these countries out of America? All these Chinese places, individuals who are buying land next to our military bases. Maybe we should start with that strategically and get these individuals out and find out why they're buying our land, right? Before I worry about, or in conjunction with worrying about passage of ships coming from Asia, right? That could threaten this side of the country.
Hmm.
So I think Greenland. I mean, I don't know. Greenland's got a lot of wonderful resources, and we could probably do more for them as part of America than what they're getting from the Danes. So
Yeah. I do agree with
they
Trump.
have to
Like,
decide.
I do think we have to take it in the sense of we just don't want Russia and China having it. But also the benefit of taking it is, I mean, you're going to see our oil prices drop unprecedentedly, right? So I think you're going to see a big price drop if we do take that.
It might, but here's the thing, Chris. Each state's a little different. And a lot of our gas price, believe it or not, is taxes,
Yeah.
state taxes that they slap on to
Yeah.
every gallon of gas.
That's what people don't realize when they complain about gas in California. Like, California is the reason that the gas is $6 a gallon, not the overall price.
Right.
So another thing you can blame Newsom on. What?
Yeah, add it to the list. But he's not alone. I mean,
Yeah, there's other
New
states.
Jersey used to have really low gas. And then all of a sudden they started tacking on all these fees and it became I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, we used to gas up in New Jersey before we went to New York
Yeah,
when we
now it's
visited
the
family.
opposite.
Yeah. And well, yeah, or it's no benefit anymore
Yeah.
because they put so many taxes on it that,
It's
it's
always the
ridiculous.
liberal states.
Always the blue states.
Always
It's
the
true.
blues. When are we going to wake up a little, guys?
Yeah.
Man, I hate this place. I hate this place. Gas prices are so high. Damn that
Well,
president.
that's why the most states right now that have shown people moving out,
Blue states.
California,
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey, Illinois.
Just to ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the mortgage rates. Mortgage rates dropped to the lowest level in nearly 3 years as Trump orders buying of $200 billion in mortgage bonds. Mother, explain, please, because I truthfully have no clue what that means.
Well, so you have the mortgages out there, and he uses the government agency, which is Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, which are acronyms, Federal National Mortgage Association,
Sally
Federal,
Mae.
blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they buy and they will buy up. So in other words, they give money to banks and they purchase mortgages. Okay. Now banks have money to lend. They take those mortgages and they package them and they sell them to investors who then make money on it. How does that help a bank? Well, if they have more money, they got more to lend out to people. So it doesn't cost them as much to lend that out. They can do more loans and it brings the rates down. So more people, especially younger people, can now afford a mortgage. So people who were like, you can't get a mortgage because number one, it's going to be too expensive for you because the interest rate's too high. Number two, you're too risky. And I need that money for better people who want a mortgage, who are financially more able. If I have more money now, I'm more willing to lend it to, an individual who will probably pay it back and could use the mortgage and could start a 30-year. So that was the benefit to it. And I say that because, I've told you before, I'm more interested in things that affect us, like affect our country, those type of stories, things that will help your generation, especially grow wealth, get a house, get a family, all that stuff, jobs, interest rates. And he also did the credit cards, which I thought was interesting. That was my other article. Right. He wants to cap credit cards at 10% for 1 year. Now you think about how many times you're telling me people's stories about how in debt they are, right? Through credit cards and they never pay it off and blah, blah, blah. My feeling is this, and the argument from the bankers is, you can't do that. What you're going to do is people won't be able to get credit because if you lower it so much, the banks can't make money and they're not going to issue credit to risky people. And I say hogwash. They're charging like 20 to 30%. Okay? Yeah. You can still make money on these individuals at 10 to 15%. You just won't make as much. But guess what? They got the money. Don't tell me that they can't do it.
I agree. I also think that one thing I will say is I sometimes feel like even at high interest rates, some people still can't get their shit together on like buying things. So you're going to go over that 10% is going to rack. Guys, the amount of people I know who have like $5,000 limits on their credit card and then somehow spend $12,000 on their credit card, just for as an example, you would be surprised how many people I know do that. So,
well, I mean, they're not supposed to be able to do that on a credit card because it should pass when you go into and use it at a vendor. They used to cut the card up in front of you. The credit card company was saying they can't use this card anymore.
Really?
And the restaurant or whatever would cut the card up. Yeah, because they've gone over or they've reached their maximum. That's why you get approved for a certain dollar amount. Right. And I don't know that this is the case. I've never experienced that. But maybe if these lenders are letting them go over, I have an issue with that because they have all sorts of contracts where they say you can't go over. And now you're kind of walking these people into deeper debt than what you agreed to when you issued the credit card. If that's really happening. Yeah. If they give you a $5,000 limit and you're spending $12,000, something's wrong there.
They shouldn't allow you to do that unless it's like an Amex card, which.
Well, right. Or if you're doing it on multiple cards.
Yeah.
With small limits. Okay. But
But then I
America
have to
owed one
start
point.
faulting the people, is what I mean. At some point, you got to go, hey, maybe these people have to. Well, let's take it back to the education, because everything, it's always layers, right? There needs to
Yep.
be better, like, financial classes in school, right? Because one of my friends who she has a lot of credit card issues, she goes, I tell her the most basic things, like, hey, this
Yeah.
is your minimum, this is your maximum. If you're
Yep.
like, why? Like, she didn't understand that paying the minimum is not what you want to do. She
Right.
just saw cheaper price, I'll do that.
Right.
So that one,
Well, I mean, Dad and I went over all that stuff with you guys
thank
before
God.
when you got your first credit
Yeah.
card, and a certain understanding. And yes, you're supposed to learn that in school. They should teach you that at the high school level,
Right.
not even a college thing. You should know the basics. But it's also not the burden of schools to teach you everything. Parents should teach you
True,
that.
but
Sad
I'm
part
just
is
talking
parents don't
basic.
know.
Yeah, right.
Right,
But
but a lot of parents don't
parents
know.
don't know because they didn't get educated in it when they were younger. A lot of the times,
Right.
right? Like I would never expect. Like I know someone who her parents were like never there. You know, like dad was
Yeah.
gone, mother was gone,
Right.
essentially. So I wouldn't blame her for not knowing how a credit card works. Luckily, she figured it out, and if she could figure it
Yeah.
out, I think everyone else can. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think we have to really start. I don't know what the solution to that one is, but I know that if I didn't have parents that knew how money worked and how a credit card worked, I probably would have been. I would have taken me longer to figure out, right?
Well, and I'll tell you it's an interesting and somewhat easy class to teach young
Yeah.
people because I don't care what you want to be. I don't even care if you plan to push drugs on the streets in some of these inner cities. You got to know how your credit card works
Oh,
when you use it,
here's a great
right?
example. I know someone who viewers know who they would only use the minimum. They would rack up,
Only pay the minimum.
yeah, only do the minimum. And their answer
Yeah.
was, as long as I pay the minimum, the banks can never come after me. And although that's somewhat correct, it ruins your credit. So when they tried to go get a house and just do a simple mortgage, their credit
Yep.
score was in the 100s. I didn't
Right.
even know it was possible to get a credit score that low. But they
Yeah.
did it for a decade, I would say. So
Right. And this is part of the
it
problem,
never
like you
paid it.
said, about they overspend. There's no discipline anymore because there's no one's forcing it, right? So you get enough young people who have reneged on their credit cards. Oh, it's too high, and you can't stop me from getting a mortgage. You working against me. And how am I ever going to get ahead and buy a house? So they force the banks to lend to these individuals who, on average, have $10,563 in debt that they don't pay off in their credit card. What makes you think they're going to be responsible and pay a mortgage?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I know
Right.
my friend was
So
not.
Right.
So
And
I get it.
we keep bending the rules for individuals. And you know who winds up paying the cost? You and me, who are good about paying our credit cards. They wind up jacking up
Our
fees or
price.
making it harder for us to do it. And that's not fair to the individuals with good credit who never let it go over. I would say there was a period of time there with inflation, many individuals were using it to buy food, groceries,
Right. The
because they
necessities.
couldn't afford it,
Yeah.
the necessities. And that's a problem that we needed to address.
Mhm.
When you're using a credit card, you're not getting paid enough salary, wages weren't keeping up with inflation. But I'm suspicious of a lot of these people if you look at credit cards because things are becoming like generationally. Well, I have to go on that trip to Italy.
Yeah,
You don't
that's a big one too. That's one that I'll never forget. I had a friend who said she got I got a lot. I forget how she put it, but she's like, well, there was 1 month where I made a lot of money and I went on a trip, and I was like, and I blew it all, and I was like, how much money did you make that you blew it all on a trip? She's like, $3,000. I was like, $3,000 extra? She's like, no, that was just 1,000 more than I normally take. So basically, she decided that instead of paying rent, she would take that $3,000, which was 1,000 more than she made, and rather go on a trip than have enough for the rent. So she pushed the
Right.
rent a month. I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right. Well, and I'm also saying they'll put it on a credit card. Well, I had,
Right.
what is this? Why did you have to go to Italy? Well, I had to go. All my friends were going. That's not you have to. There's this this expectation from your peers, I guess, or from culture. I don't know what, but this mindset of, who can top whom, that you can't afford,
Yeah,
right? They're,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
leveraging their life away, and then they turn, or they can afford it,
Right.
but now I can't buy a house. I got to rent
Yeah.
forever because I got to pay my credit card.
I do have to say, one thing what I'm learning is to stay away from is those, because we were talking about food and groceries, those
Yeah.
Klarnas or what's the other one? Klarna allows, again, friend I know.
What's a Klarna? I don't know what that
Klarna
is.
is a company that will basically allows you to lease groceries. So,
Oh, for God's
yeah,
sakes.
Mom, my friend was involved in 4 of these, all of them on her credit card. She racked up
What do you
over.
mean lease your groceries?
Okay, right. This is what they do in the. I've noted. Okay, this is definitely in poorer states, I guess is the right way to put this. So let's say I buy $300 worth of groceries, right? I can buy it with Klarna and only pay $50, and they'll pay for the rest at an interest. So
Oh,
my
God.
mom, I won't say the name, but the person I knew was buying $300 worth of groceries, and in the end, it was costing about $450, and she was in 4 of these. I was like, hold on, this is the most predatory thing I've ever seen. Now, again, if you're on hard times and right, makes sense, do it. She was not in hard times. She just ended up paying a total of, I think it was almost like $1,500 extra in groceries that she didn't pay for. It was just the interest amongst the 4 companies. So, yeah, I closed that for them very quickly. I was like, hey, we're done with this. So, there's also those companies that are incredibly predatory for people that don't know what they're doing or don't know what's going on. So,
Right.
yeah.
All right, now I can see.
We might have to do a financial podcast for viewers one of these days.
I know. In tough times, I could see having to use something like that.
Very tough times.
But it's not something that you replace with regular saving.
Right.
Buy, save, and buy. And that's the distinction. Young people don't know. This is a classic lesson that parents should teach their kids. The difference between a want and a need. And what used to be a need or what used to be a want, younger generations are looking at it as a need. Like I said, I need to go to Italy. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That is frivolous. That's not what you need to survive. No, you don't understand. Everybody does these things, right?
The one I hear the most is, I need to go to TJ Maxx. Why?
Right. I mean, they're joking in the sense that I got to go find a dress or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I just like to look around. Do they ever just look around? No.
Right. Well, and that's what you say. Whatever you're seeing at TJ Maxx, is it a want or a need?
Right.
I'm all for wants. There's nothing wrong with wanting things and buying special things. You deserve that if you work hard. But you got to cover your needs first. And you don't go into debt over a want, because then someday you're not going to be able to cover your needs.
My favorite is when people talk about wealthy people and they go, oh, why don't you spend more of it? And it's like, well, the reason that they're so wealthy is because they don't spend it on wants all the time. They spend it on the needs and then the wants later. And some people don't get that, right? I have just enough money to I have enough money to pay my rent and I can go to Spain, but I can't do both. So let me go to Spain and then I'll worry about rent later. Like, hey, that's why you're not wealthy.
Right.
So,
or you'll never get ahead. And some people don't mind living like that their whole lives.
Some people can do it. I know I have a friend who's very bare minimum, and she does just her life. She's good at it.
And I wouldn't have a problem with that until they wipe their debt away and I wind up paying for it.
Bankruptcy.
It's like the student loan debacle, right? Racked up student loans, people can't afford to or they don't want to pay it. That's fine. Why is the government bailing you out? That's me bailing. I paid for my student loans. I paid for my kids' loans. You can't turn around and ask some hardworking person. And guess what? I don't care if they're multimillionaires. You have no right to turn around and say, oh, guess what? Now you got to pay for somebody else's education because they can't afford it. And it turned out to be bad and they picked the wrong major, et cetera, et cetera. No, that's not the American way. Sorry, draw the line. And you saw that with the American people. With when the Biden administration tried to do that, they were like, absolutely not. Now you've crossed a line where even his Democratic supporters were like, we're not doing that.
Well, we know someone who decided not to pay their student debt during the freeze period. Now it all came back as they were blowing money like crazy. Now it comes back and now they're broke and they can't afford it. It's like, hey, again, you can't blame the wealthy for you making bad decisions. So, yeah, I get that.
But that's the problem with our country, and we have to stop doing this every time. We will wind up going into debt. We bail out banks, we bail out car companies, we bail out, now it's individuals. We wanted to bail out student loans. There are rules and regulations. If you can't pay your debt, guess what? They freeze your whatever wages you have
Right.
to pay it. Those are the good old days. Oh, now you can't do that because, Senator Warren, the woman with the consumer, you're taking advantage of these people and they have rights. They sign their name as an adult to this credit card or whatever, this mortgage. You own that debt.
Yeah. But, all right, Mom, we just did 1 hour and 10. Solid podcast. We got through a lot. Hey, I think that was the first one in a long time that didn't involve AI. I can't tell you the last. No AI. So
and we didn't get demonetized for anything.
Yeah. So we'll end it there. The only things I have to promote, obviously, the last podcast I posted the Twitch highlights clip for the last 2 months, November, December. Go check that out. And then today, Saturday, I posted the final Resident Evil speed run. So we are all caught up in Resident Evil. It took 2 years, but we did it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So social media, promo code Streamlinks, Discord, and we will see you guys. I'll see you guys at stream, and I will see you next week with Mom. So later.